90 seconds. That's how long Newark Liberty International Airport's air traffic controllers were unable to see or speak to incoming planes on April 28th. Considering how fast planes move and what could have happened, that's a scary thought. United Airlines has now canceled 35 regular flights at this eastern hub. One federal air safety employee recently told NBC News it's, quote, not safe. 20% of Newark's air traffic controllers have walked off the job in recent weeks, and that plagues the airport with more delays and cancellations. Last week, the transportation secretary offered a $5,000 hiring bonus for new applicants. Even in a hard economy, there are some jobs so hard, few will apply. Yet no job was ever harder than the one God the Father assigned to the Son. Aren't you glad He accepted and remained faithful all the way to the cross? Welcome to Haven Today on this Tuesday. I'm David Wolin, sharing the great story that's all about Jesus, and we're in a series called A Family That Prays Together. We kicked it off yesterday with a bit of testimony and a great story, and no surprise, we chose it because this is one that leads us to Jesus as we hear it told, and we're telling the story of the Smallbone family. If that's a name that doesn't ring a bell for you, how about this? Rebecca St. James, or For King and Country. Back in the 1990s, Rebecca was a talented teenager from Australia who loved to sing about Jesus, and her albums became a hit in the contemporary Christian music market. Meanwhile, her younger brothers were learning from her, and then in their own time, Joel and Luke Smallbone became the group For King and Country. Yesterday, we heard from Rebecca telling about her family's move from Australia to America and how they soon found themselves with almost nothing left but their faith in God and each other. With 6 children and one on the way, this family learned to pray and watch God provide in big and little ways.
Thanks for coming. Yep. Good night.
Good night.
Yes.
Hey, thank you so much for having us.
Oh, our pleasure.
Yeah, the kids are a bit knackered. Could we trouble you to give us a ride home?
Here you go.
Oh, Jed, we can't borrow your van.
Well, Kay and I had a chat, and the way we see it, it's yours now.
Oh, no,
Mate, that's kind.
we don't have insurance.
Let them sue me. I think God wants us to give you the van. We'll sort the rest out later.
That's a short scene from the movie called Unsung Hero, which is the true story of the Smallbone family. And in a moment, we'll be joined again by Rebecca St. James to hear a little more about her family's incredible journey. And then after the program, I want to send you a copy of the movie Unsung Hero. It's a feature film on DVD, and it's our way of saying thank you for your support of this Christ-centered ministry of Haven Today. Call us at 800-65-HAVEN, 800-65-HAVEN, or you can go online to haventoday.org and watch the movie trailer there, and then you can make your gift and request the DVD, haventoday.org. Again, that's haventoday.org. This is Haven Today, and I'm David Wolin, back with us, Rebecca St. James, and welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you very much, David.
And yesterday we were talking about the movie Unsung Hero, which released not too long ago. My wife and I just watched it ahead of our conversation today, and it was a great film. I think I can just quote my wife. She said, that was a well put together story.
Right.
And it was told well on screen, but obviously it was the Lord who was sovereignly directing all the events within the film. And you said yesterday, a lot of times at the beginning of a film like this, it says based on a true story. This one says this is a true story.
Yeah.
So for those who didn't catch the program yesterday, just give us a little summary of what that true story was about.
Yeah, it's really the story of my family, Smallbone family, moving to the U.S. in the early 90s, so 91. I was 14, 6 kids in the family, mom pregnant with my sister, and we moved and Dad lost his job almost immediately after coming to the other side of the world, and really not much to go back to work-wise for my dad. And so we prayed for car, money, food, income, everything, and saw it happen and just saw modern day miracles happen. And so it changed my life, it changed my family's life, and really there's been just incredible fruit from that, in my story and my brother's story, and for King Country, Joel and Luke, and then, even with the movie now.
Yeah.
So many people are encouraged by the goodness of God to bring us through trials in life and bring us into a new time that has new fruit because of the pain, really.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it does have the ring of truth to it, I think, because I mean, you're in the biz. You do concerts and you've recorded albums and you've been in different films and things, and it just probably to people looking in think, oh, that the glitz and the glamour, if only. And in reality, there's so much pain that comes with the human condition, and are living in a fallen world, and you didn't hide that from this story, which is why I think it's as good as it is, and why I feel so compelled to recommend it. But talk about a little bit about this from your life since the film. You talked about how there really is no exemption from going through a winter season or really seasons in life. How did those experiences as a teenager really prepare you for the life, the Lord led you into later on?
Yeah, you're 100% right on that. Like, we're just not exempt as Christians from trials, and actually we're promised it,
Yeah, that's right.
In this life you will have trouble. But I think what God promises us definitively is his presence and his personhood. Like, he will be with us. He will not abandon us. Like, we have hope. We have access to joy and peace because of him, because of relationship with him. And I think in some ways we might have promoted something that is not true, like subtly probably in Christendom, of like, well, if you're a Christian, you're just going to live this like victory to victory kind of life of like, it's just going to be easy and it's going to be good if you're doing it right. And you look at Bible characters and it was not that, like from Joseph to David, to all these different characters, they went through these challenges. But and even Mary, like even Jesus' own mom, and having him and some of the circumstances surrounding his birth, like that were so challenging in the culture she lived. She was doing the will of God. She was like honoring him, but it was hard. I think wrestling through that, my parents definitely chose to honor him in the pain, and that's what I saw growing up. And so later on in my life, I was in music for nearly 20 years and longing to be married in that time. And it took so much longer than what I ever would have thought. And so I was 33 when I got married. And I'm just so thankful that God brought me my man, and that story.
Cubby.
Yes. Yeah. Cubby. And just that he brought beauty from ashes in the loneliness of those years, And then about 3 or 4 years into marriage, probably 4 years, we dealt with what we call our major winter season. We've just had a book come out called Lasting Ever about it, where he and I talk about our lives separately and then together. But we talk about the season being one of marked by miscarriage, multiple miscarriages and secondary infertility in that time. And then my husband parting ways with the band that he was in, and they had been very, very successful. We traveled together a lot in early marriage and had been really beautiful. But that was very difficult for him. And then his mom was dying also in that time, and I was dealing with burnout from music. I mean, it was just like every landscape of our lives was difficult. And I'd retired from music at that time too, but during worship, and we were so hungry for a new season, like, God, just show us the way. Like, we want to trust you. We want to trust your goodness in the pain. But during worship in Alaska, in the show, God specifically just instantaneously, like, I mean, within a matter of minutes, brought spring to my heart. And I knew it. Like, I knew that I had changed. I knew I saw my past differently, my future differently. In those moments, I knew he called me back to ministry. I just had hope, like, for the future in a different way. Like, spring had come to my heart, even though it hadn't come to my circumstances yet. And then almost immediately after that, things changed. I fell pregnant with our second daughter, and now we have a son as well. And God's moved us into a new era of ministry. And while he's changing my heart, he was also working on Cubby to bring a spring to him. Like, we hadn't even talked about it during those couple of days, and then we go, whoa, this has happened for you too. There was almost like new vistas, new dreaming, new yeah, just a spring. Like it was like the world around us just started to blossom and bloom, and it was internal before it was external. So I think I've spoken loudly about that story. I've written songs about it now. I had, projects come out all around this idea of spring and hope. And not that it's perfect, right? Like we still struggle. It's still a human fallen world that we live in. It's not heaven. And all of us are built for heaven. So I think we struggle as humans with that idea of the not yet of a perfect life. But I'm just so thankful that God does bring good and that he brings beauty from ashes. And even like the song in Unsung Hero, which is my song from 14 years ago, you make everything beautiful. Like I see that in my life. And I think in the hard times, that's what we hold on to, is that God is doing something redemptive, and we've just got to trust that he's good and that he's faithful, and he will bring it about.
Yeah. And I would imagine this film itself, Unsung Hero, is part of bringing some of that redemption. It just in the sense that it's bringing other people into the story that they didn't know, and it gives them a bit of an opportunity, which every film, a well-made film does, gives you the opportunity to sort of enter into a story that's not your own.
Yeah.
And yet you realize, actually, I think I am, in this film, because the same God that was there through the trial and the pain is the God that I worship. Or it could be that's the God I don't yet know. I wish I knew God like that. This is a question that I always love to hear how people answer. We know that Jesus doesn't change, right? He's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Yeah. And
yet in our own walk with him and the path that we've walked and the way that we've come to know him today, there is a uniqueness of relationships. So Rebecca, how would you articulate who Jesus has become to you in your life?
So I think always, and I gave my life to Jesus at 8. I think starting in music full time, I was signed at 15. I recorded my first album at 13, began touring at 13 in Australia. Mm-hmm. Signed at 15, full time at 16. There was something to me about that time that increased my dependence on Jesus, because I just felt inadequate for everything that I was doing. Like I hadn't gone to school for any of it, like it's just, it was like practicing at home with my dad and then, thrust on the stage in front of thousands. So that sense of inadequacy or not enough, I think, always bled over in a healthy, good way to dependence on Jesus. So I think he's just been my lifeline from my life. Like I've so known my need of him, and it's so daily that that's probably the constant throughout my relationship with him. I think, and even actually when he called me back to music, that moment on stage in Alaska, I remember thinking, Lord, I miss this dependence that I have on you when I sing, when I'm in ministry. And so it had been a few years since I had been kind of quietly retired, 4 or 5 years at that point. And so I think I missed that, and obviously as a mom, I was depending on him, but I think in the front lines of kind of music and ministry, I felt my need of him more. I felt my longing for him in a different way. The thing that I think I'm pressing into lately in my life is just, and again, it probably ties into what I just expressed. I think starting in music, or probably people that started in film really young, you can have this like feeling of not enough, or like feeling of I'm not measuring up, or imposter syndrome. I think every artist feels that. And I mean, I know even my husband watched, and I want to watch it, but a documentary on the moment that We Are the World, the song was put together, and it was the top artists in the world at that time, and every single artist felt inadequate and an imposter, and like they were going to be found out. I'm not this great singer, and they were standing side by side with the greatest, So every artist feels that, no matter whether in Christian music or mainstream, top of the world or not. But I think there's just this sense of like him calling me into a greater rest in him than I've ever known lately. I repeat the phrase from time to time of like, there is grace for me. Like there's grace for me beyond kind of what I even comprehend. It's not about my performance. It's not about how well I'm doing in these different areas. It's actually about like, he sees me as his daughter, and I'm his beloved. So I think it's a sweeter time that he's bringing me into right now, and of just wow, like you look at me, Lord, with eyes of love and a treasuring parental joy in me that I really want to sit in a deeper way. And to me, it says a new intimacy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, if we were sitting on a stage right now and doing this live, this is where I would swivel to the audience and say, what you just heard her say, those are the fingerprints of Christ in her life. I couldn't, you've just ministered to me talking about themes which are quintessential Jesus. Yes, dependency. Yes, we're made for service, and you don't have to be a recording artist on stage in ministry to have that sense of need, of needing to be poured out in some way for his kingdom, so that you're needy for him in a way that you can feel. I mean, I've experienced that in all kinds of different ways in my life, just simply in serving my local church. So for someone listening today and resonating with that, this could be just a gentle nudge to get back in serving in some capacity. Maybe the Lord's calling you to do that, and being called into his rest. Beautiful and accurate. That is who he is, right? Come to me, all you who are weary. Rebecca St. James, thank you for sharing from your life and from your walk with Christ and your story. So grateful.
Thanks for having me, David. Thank you so much.
I'm David Wolin. This is Haven Today, and what a treat to chat with Rebecca St. James over the last couple of days. Tomorrow, just a few days before Mother's Day, we'll hear from Rebecca's mother, Helen. The story is inspiring, it's faith-building, it's a great way to spend time with your own family, watching and remembering how important it is to trust the Lord and to lean on one another no matter the challenges you face.
Oh, darling, I wasted so much time chasing so many things, and you were right here the whole time. I'm so sorry for missing you and the kids and all the miracles. But the greatest miracle is you. That you love me. That you're still here.
Well, you promised adventure. And you delivered.
That was a clip from the film Unsung Hero. David and Helen Smallbone in the film talking about the challenges they were facing when they got to America, when his job didn't pan out and they had no car. And then they got into a house, but it had no furniture. And yet they were committed to each other and to God. And what a blessing it was for my wife and me as we watched this together. And I'd love for you to enjoy it as well. The DVD is Unsung Hero. It's based on the Smallbone family's life and story, and it's our way of saying thank you for your gift to this ministry. It'll encourage you, and it will also help us keep sharing the great story that's all about Jesus here on your local station and all over North America and around the world. You can call us right now to make your gift and request the DVD. The number is 800-65-HAVEN. Again, that's 800-65-HAVEN. Or you can go online to haventoday.org. You can watch the movie trailer, and then you can make your gift to Haven and request your copy of the DVD. Again, haventoday.org. I'm David Wolin. Won't you come back again next time? We'll be keeping it all about Jesus. It's the great story here on Haven Today.